Okay, we are live. Today, I want to talk just a little bit about social anxiety, and I'll share a brief story, and then you let me know what you think, and share in the comments your own experiences, and if you've ever tried the radical undoing work, and how that helped for you, and also share something a longtime client who came to the in-person workshops in England and in Norway, what he had to say as well. Really great guy. So let's start out with a little story. Let's face it. You obviously want to feel good when you're out among the throngs of people. But if you're like I used to be, you probably don't. Now, especially when you're surrounded by new people, struggling to keep up, wondering what to say next, stammering, feeling embarrassed, and finally just hiding out, hoping not to be noticed. I get it. When I was in my 20s back in Minneapolis, my friends hated taking me out to parties. I remember once I put on these hilarious Farmer John denim overalls. I don't even know why I did that, but I already felt isolated before I even got there. And then I wondered why all the hip Minneapolis chicks were laughing at me all night. I blamed my stupid friends and the stupid party. I went home early feeling like a loser. And I really was acting like a loser. I ruined that night for myself when I could have made great connections, had some fun, and enjoyed a lot of laughs. And it's really funny because now I could rock those overalls without so much as a t-shirt on and still get everybody laughing, having a great time, and at least feeling excited just to talk to me. And all that stuff is effortless now. It's not something I have to work at. Now, of course, I still have my shitty nights where I'd rather act all grumpy and grumbly and head home for a TV show or five. But I can keep everything flowing and fun whenever the evening calls for it. Now, what's strange is that this didn't happen through some kind of psychology or talk therapy or some kind of pickup chicks training, which are horrible, by the way. I've helped a lot of people escape from falling into that community and into that world. Well, that's for another time. But the big changes happened through getting deep and consistent with a few simple undoing exercises over time. And it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Ghost Dog. The quote comes from Hagakure, the Book of the Samurai. And I'm paraphrasing it here, but it goes something like this. Matters of great concern should be treated lightly. Matters of small concern should be treated seriously. Now, I saw that movie like in 1999 or 2000, so a couple of years before I got into the undoing work. But the quote stayed with me for 25 years now, and I still find new ways to apply it almost every day. Instead of handling the matters of large concern, like social anxiety, I handled matters of small concern, tending to the simple exercises that systematically broke apart the tension and stress in my body, and then over time, the social anxiety disappeared. But before I found the undoing training, I kept hitting a wall. My focus was on all the matters of large concern, which meant I had no real way of solving them. The matters of large concern were all in my imagination, so I couldn't really do anything about them. It's a very important point. But the basic, simple details in the flow of my daily life, the tensions in my body, the clutter in my house and in my mind, now these things I could actually deal with. Before making this paradigm shift, my social anxiety and fear of what other people were thinking of kept holding me back. Now, it happened so often, I thought it was normal. I thought it was just a permanent part of me that I'd have to face forever. And I'll tell you another story at another time about overcoming jealousy, which used to just plague me since I was a kid. But that's for another time. Now, other people would just tell me, oh, just relax, Garrett. And a psychiatrist even tried to prescribe me some kind of crazy drug to treat the anxiety, quote unquote, after talking to me for 5 minutes in a consultation. So the social anxiety had plagued me for like 10 years. Maybe even longer if we count that I was like this really fat little kid and had a lot of trouble with the social level of school. I still had really good friends and all that, but anyway, the social anxiety would always bubble up at the wrong moments. I remember I quit a tango dancing class because I felt so shamed in front of the other dancers. In my mind, everybody was better, smarter, and more talented than I was. And I missed a lot of opportunities by not showing up and not even recognizing those possibilities because I figured I'd already lost before I began. And then my seeking career began, which resulted in the thousands of books I mentioned in a previous video about why you should burn your books, metaphorically. and all the practices and symptoms and methods I sampled. Until I discovered and started practicing the undoing exercises and sessions. Now, they seemed really weird to me at first, and I wondered how in the hell are some strange body movements and breathing exercises going to get me out of the social anxiety prison I'd resigned myself to live in. But something kept me coming back to the exercises over and over and over, every single day. I didn't notice the changes at first because my character was changing at such a deep level, I still just felt like myself. But other people noticed. And this is another key point with the changes that occur with the undoing work. In the year that followed, I ended up creating and hosting art and undoing parties. I played music at open mics. I even headlined at a bar in Wyoming to a room full of cowboys and anarchists. Now, that is a crazy story I'll tell you at another time, maybe on a live stream. I still can't believe that happened. Somehow people were attracted to the new me, and things that used to be difficult for me got easier and easier. I even moved to a totally new city by myself and ended up with a huge crowd of friends organizing more art parties. One night, I had invited 5 people over to this art party to make an online magazine that we were going to call "Fuck Your Brain," which never came out, but we received like hundreds of submissions for the zine. It was a lot. It was crazy. I wish we would have done it. But I had this art party that night, and over 100 people showed up for this party at my house, and I knew like 10 of them. A band I had seen 2 nights earlier was at my house playing in the living room. I mean, I don't know how all that happened, actually. My landlord was pissed, but the party was amazing. But so then it was only when I looked back at my old socially anxious self that I realized how much had inexplicably changed. Now, all of that was almost 14 years ago. I can hardly believe it. It feels like yesterday. But since then, I've gone on to help hundreds of people free themselves from the shackles of social anxiety and the constant stress that comes with it. Now, what I've found time and time again is the difference between people who finally accept themselves and get comfortable in social situations versus those who stay locked inside their fears and anxieties is not a problem of complexity. Everything comes down to getting out of the confusing hell of the mind and back home to the body. Now, that's why I've made it my mission to help stressed out people rapidly overcome social anxiety, stressful situations, and overthinking. I've met too many people who stay stuck, terrified of what other people might think of them, which is why I'm showing up, doing something about it. So super glad to have you along for the ride. And like I said, leave in the comments if you've struggled with social anxiety and overthinking and all that. I literally read every comment and I try to get back to everyone as well. Now let me find the thing from good old Dave. Dave wrote me back after this when I sent out this story recently. And I didn't realize this about him. He said he was crippled. Well, I'll just read his words. I was crippled by social anxiety as a kid, as a teenager, and as an adult. 2016, when I attended the Undoing workshop, was a turning point for me. That was in England. It was a real turning point for me. Sure, I'm still an introvert. My sister got remarried last weekend and I found it exhausting, but I wandered the room and got to interact with pretty much everyone. I now can do public speaking without feeling like I'm going to die of embarrassment. The work works. So I just heard that from Dave, and so cool to hear about those things. Now, that was a week-long workshop in England. We'll be doing more of those, probably in England for sure, also in Croatia and maybe some other places around Eastern Europe. I'll let you know more about that as the details emerge. But I'm going to leave you with that for today. Where are we at here? Okay, so that's all for today. I just wanted to drop in. Actually, I'll probably do one more video today on a different subject matter. But I just wanted to jump in, do a video every day, and tell some stories and share some experiences about my own development through the radical undoing work, and then also some of what other people have had to say as well. So you can find out if the work is for you. You can get interested in it. You can see if you relate, if you'd like to work with me. And then very soon I'll be announcing a new intensive program that I've come up with that I think is going to be really sweet. It's going to be limited to a small number of people. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you get in touch with me. Send me a DM on Facebook or write me at garrett@radicalundoing.com. You can see how my name is spelled here on the video, GARRETT, and then at radicalundoing.com. If I don't get back to you within 24 hours, write again because it means I missed it. I think that's all for now. So have fun. Make sure you undo. If you haven't tried out the exercises here on the channel, go scroll around through the playlists and try out the self series. That's the face stretching, shoulders to ears, laughing breath, and the flop exercise. Try those out. I recommend doing them every day. And then get in touch if you want to go deeper. There's also some links for the daily training video archive, the weekly session group, and then how you can get on the newsletter for daily tips and not miss any invites to the deeper training programs. So that's all for now. See you again soon and enjoy.